Just about every man-made thing can be stopped somehow. We can slam on a vehicle's brakes, or at least put an obstacle in its way. We can cut a machine's power. We can order an organization stopped by the courts or the armed forces if necessary. It seems like you can stop anything with some force that counters whatever keeps that thing going. So how could a thing like Bitcoin become unstoppable? Well, Bitcoin employs two countermeasures to ever being stopped. First is flawless replicas everywhere. Bitcoin's first defense from being stopped is that you can't actually locate it. It's hard, after all, to stop something that you can't find. Now, a Bitcoin node is an instance of the Bitcoin program running on some computer, and each and every Bitcoin node is an exact replica of every other Bitcoin node in every way that matters. Each node contains all the programming necessary to run Bitcoin, along with all the information about who can spend every single bit of every Bitcoin. If someone wanted to stop Bitcoin, they'd have to stop each and every node, everywhere in the world, all at once, and keep them all stopped forever. However, Bitcoin isn't hard to run. It can operate on the simplest of computers available today. Bitcoin can also hide behind encrypted services so that nobody can see where it's running. It is impossible to find all the computers in the world running Bitcoin. If someone were hunting down Bitcoin in an attempt to shut it down, they might find some nodes, or maybe even a lot of them. But as long as Bitcoin is running somewhere on some computer, it is running for everyone and anyone that can reach that computer. And reaching a computer is pretty easy, considering the internet connects just about every computer in the world to every other one. Even if someone managed to stop every node, as soon as one of them restarted, Bitcoin would resume where it left off. If in fact someone was hunting down the world's Bitcoin nodes, any of them could go into sleep mode when the hunter came near, and thus become completely invisible until that hunter moved on to find other prey. The first thing it would do when it awoke would be to turn itself into a precise replica of all the other nodes out there that hadn't been asleep. There's tens or maybe even hundreds of thousands of nodes running everywhere all over the world right now. There's no way to know how many Bitcoin nodes are running. That makes it impossible to even know how hard a task it would be to try to stop Bitcoin. Second is flexible energy requirements. Most things require some minimum amount of energy to operate. Bitcoin doesn't. Yes, Bitcoin uses energy. It uses energy to ensure that no node can trick any other node into becoming different from any of the others. This energy use is what prevents any node from ever mistaking which is the true record to replicate. The true record is the one with the most energy used. But exactly how much energy Bitcoin needs depends only on how much energy is actually being used. If someone managed to cut the power to even all but one of the nodes, eventually the energy requirements of Bitcoin would diminish so that just that last little node's power would be all that was needed to keep the network ticking along just fine. So Bitcoin can't be starved of the energy it needs because it can operate on very little energy if that's all it can get. So you take unfindable plus unstarvable equals unstoppable. Put it all together and you get unstoppability. Since nobody can physically find all the necessary parts they'd need to shut down Bitcoin, and nobody can starve Bitcoin of the energy it needs, nobody can stop it. There are many reasons it's important that nobody can stop Bitcoin. One is that Bitcoin itself is extremely important, and that has a link to another article. And even more importantly, you need Bitcoin to become all that you can be, which is the link to yet another article in the series. And that's the end of that article.
So clearly, Bitcoin is unstoppable, partially due to how easy it is to running a node, like you were saying. It's super easy. I just got one up using Umbrel in under a day, and that was super simple. So it's really cool to see the technology and how it's growing and how things are becoming easier and easier. Do you recommend running a node, and do you yourself run a node?
Yes, yeah? I run more than one. And I won't say how many, and I won't say where they are. So try to stop Bitcoin just by stopping me. I think it's crucial for several reasons. Just assuming that you're a Bitcoin holder, if you don't hold any Bitcoin, you're not really doing anything for your own sake by running a node. But if you do, you're verifying the blockchain yourself, and you have a copy of the record that you know is true. You don't have to take anybody else's word for it, which is another point that we made about one of its promises in the first article that we read. And it's important to understand that Bitcoin is personal responsibility money, right? Like, you can lose it, and if you lose it, nobody can bail you out, and you can verify it. And that means that it's your personal responsibility. So I think it's a personal responsibility for all holders to take possession of their coins, to learn how to do it safely, do it a little bit at a time if at first that's what you need to do, so that you know that you can spend them and move them and not lose them and have them backed up and they don't get stolen and all these kinds of rookie mistakes that you get past. But it's your own personal responsibility to run your own node. It's your own personal responsibility to hold your own coins. That's what makes this a system that can't be captured by governments or thugs or con artists. So if you want Bitcoin to do for you the things that it promises, you have to use it in a way that it can deliver those promises to you. And if you give your Bitcoins to somebody else to hold, or if you don't verify the record, then you don't know if you actually got any Bitcoins. And that's certainly where that expression, not your keys, not your coins, comes from. The other really important reason to run a node is Bitcoin's future, Bitcoin's scaling architecture is built on top of nodes. You need the core node, and then on top of that, now you can run things like the Lightning Network, and the Lightning Network needs a full node underneath it because you're running this second layer. And the Lightning Network is fantastic. It eliminates the wait times. It eliminates fees. It allows instant payment. They're constantly advancing on it. It evolves much, much, much faster than this core foundation base layer. And there's incredible things that it can already do, and there's even more incredible things that are coming. So it will be the replacement of the payments architecture, which when you were asking earlier from the first article, can Bitcoin be the medium of exchange? And part of what you need for a medium of exchange to work is, well, every transaction in the world needs to happen on it. There's millions of transactions happening with every word I speak, because there's billions of people doing business in the world. And Lightning Network, which maybe we'll discuss another time, or other people can research separately, scales Bitcoin to that level by not requiring interactions on the base chain for all these lightweight transactions. And it's remarkable, and it's much, much higher scale. It's much, much higher resilience. It's much, much higher redundancy than anything else that exists in the world right now. And I know we're not going to go into it right now, but I'm saying it's more resilient and more reliable and more scalable than all the banks' technology in the world and all of the Visa and MasterCards in the world put together already. Like, the way that this system is architected is just so incredible and so contemporary, because it uses the best technology that exists in the world, and it's not tied to these legacy systems and all the compliance regulations that they are forced to. It's just the best use of technology that exists to provide secure, reliable, uncheatable wealth transfer.